Hey, hey, here I am. It is like 13:20. Just doing kind of an afternoon one. Little bit of a low energy day, I guess. I got up at my normal time and whatnot, but just having a little trouble getting the things done. Well, just doing them slowly, but and the chores are the chores. You do them, so because that's how life is. Uh, but I haven't gotten around to my two enrichments for today. That's what we call around the house, just excuse me, activities that are. I'm having a histamine reaction, I think, because of the spring. The spring has sprung here, kind of, and so has all the pollens. Uh, but we have enrichments, which are just could be the arts or an entertainment that you're into, even pleasure reading or playing a board game or what have you. Anything that enriches your life that's not part of the daily logistics. Uh, that. So we try to do two of those at least a day, and I need to get on mine. Today I'll do singing and piano. So that will be my two. But yeah, it's weird just getting started. Of course, with these allergies, this singing, I don't know that I don't typically have tons of hay fever, but I think everybody's slightly allergic. And I think at some point, is it really an allergy or is you just being irritated? Uh, so the singing might be a little weird, but we'll see what we can do with that. Maybe some tea. Um, but yeah, so there's that. I don't have any good media really right now. Um, I think yesterday I showed the book Midway. Uh, that's I sent that book to my buddy just because of what was going on with the administration. That was a really good book. I mean, I read it years and years ago, but of course the events brought it back to mind. So I sent it to my friend he's funny. He was when we were kids. He was dyslexic, but now he reads more than anybody I know. I mean, for pleasure and stuff. I know people who go through volumes of information for work, sure. But I don't have a good book right now, or I don't have a good TV show. Um, I I'm interested in seeing the Magnus Carlsen show on Netflix that's coming up, and I did see recently the uh, Queen of Chess, the Judith Polgar um, documentary, which is why I have this up because I was just actually thinking about this as I was sitting down to record, just thinking about what is going on. And that's a good book. This is not a reading book. It's not a read through, which it's not a reading book, which sounds very odd, but it's chess problems, like 5,300 of them. Uh, and it's a neat book. It's a puzzles, chess combinations, and there's some games analysis and stuff too. Uh, but it starts you off with the basics, and the mate and ones and stuff, and takes you up through that. So it's kind of end game focused, which is neat. There's another book called Bobby Fischer Teaches Chess, which I should also probably grab the graphics for. Uh, so let me do that right now, actually, for you. Oh, I guess practicing my touch typing could be another enrichment, uh, which is, I used to touch type. I grew up on typewriters. I mean, I was probably the last generation of paper typewriters, not even electric, the manual, you're, slamming the keys in there. Um, but, so I learned to touch type on a Pica. Ooh, I like to delete 12 characters per inch instead of 10. But, I had the touch typing there. And then, working with computer code made it worse because, you're using reserved words and brackets and all those kinds of things. So I kind of abandoned my touch typing and I started typing like Milt Jackson, like the vibes, with two mallets in each hand. So I just would use kind of my index and my middle finger and kind of float around the keyboard that way. And so my touch typing kind of became junk. I will say though, I switched over COVID. I switched to Dvorak, and I was immediate. I mean, it was kind of something to do for fun. Uh, and I'd put on headphones and do my little typing lessons. But my wife was like, "Hey, you keep saying this is just so much better." And I didn't realize I was saying that. Uh, but So that's the thing. So I do prefer Dvorak. And after a while, you can type on both. It's not that big of a deal. Uh, so that's fine. Anyway, but I digress. Uh, I wonder where I started. That's life. Um, but yeah, the other book, the Polgar book, is kind of similar to Bobby Fischer Teaches Chess, which I just pulled up. Uh, in that, I mean, well, similar. I mean, here's the deal: they're both end game focused. I think. The Polgar, it's a lot of chess problems, mate in two problems, mate in three problems, goes on up like that. Um, Bobby Fischer Teaches Chess is an interesting. Well, I think the Polgars do it too. They start off with the basic moves. Here are the moves. Bobby Fischer Teaches Chess is kind of an interesting book because it stays end game focused. I'm going to say primarily uh, because it starts you off with here's the rules of chess. Here's how to move a piece. And here's what a check and a checkmate is. And then it slowly goes into okay, is this board? Is it a check? It's like the game is ending. Is this a checkmate? Like let's review the rules. Is this a checkmate? It's like yes, no, you know, and then it goes kind of into um, well, okay, if I move this piece here, is that a checkmate? Yes. What piece could I move to do the checkmate? And you're slowly like, oh, we're in the rules, and then at the end you feel like you're going like, what 600 moves would I do to make this a checkmate? So just kind of uh, what's the thing about boils the frog? Boils the frog slowly turns up the temperature. So it starts off with the rules, and it sort of seems like a rules quiz, and then it just keeps adding plies. Which are one half of a turn, one game state in the board change. It just keeps doing that and kind of gets you into the end game, into the middle game. It's been a long time since I've read it, like decades. So I mean, I keep a copy around, but I'll have to remember at the end because that was always what struck me as that, and I can't really remember, to be quite honest, about middle game coaching and openings coaching. Uh, which isn't that surprising to me. Bobby Fischer was a big proponent of Chess 960, sometimes called Fischer chess, because he felt that book moves, and he's kind of pre-computer, or at least, in Cold War stuff, that he felt that the opening book, studying the opening book, sort of removed and ruined. He described it as, ruining chess, because you're just sort of playing a script, a kata, a form for quite a while into the game. Aha, we're doing the Sicilian defense, or like Queen's Gambit declined, and these sorts. Kind of reminds me of the fencing scene in Princess Bride, where it's like unless you've studied Yoga Ripa, which apparently you have, they're doing different sword forms, fencing strategies, which was cute. Uh, oh, Rip Rob Reiner on that one. Uh, what a great movie. But anyway, that's so. I guess I wandered into Bookland. Neither one of these are pleasure reading books. I mean, they're good to do, but they're puzzle books. They're not instructional texts. They're barely any text at all. Uh, it's mainly board configurations and stuff. But yeah. So, well, chess is fun. But so I'm interested in the Magnus Carlsen uh, book, sorry, Netflix documentary. Oh, it was kind of neat in the Judith Polgar book or documentary. She wound up playing against Anna Cramling's mom, I believe, and Anna Cramling's sort of a YouTube star because she's a chess player. I think her mom's I think, are they both grandmasters? I think I can't really remember, but they're both world. Both parents are world, chess champions. Uh, and she's not too hard on the eyes, which I think is probably why she's very popular. She's very pretty. Um, and she's talked about, which is unfortunate because she's talked about I mean, I think she was like 15 or something, and officials are like, please don't wear shorts, you're distracting other players, and that kind of thing, which is got to be embarrassing for a young lady. Uh, I mean, I get it. She is stunning, but uh, it's a drag that what should be a gift, something that she has that she can enjoy, being an attractive person and these sorts of things, but how it becomes a load, how it becomes an isolating thing where it seems like it would bring, we use the word attractive. It should attract people, but maybe it just attracts attention, and that attention can go a couple of different ways. So it's a shame that, um, that she has to deal with that. I get it. Everybody, has their thing. Um, we all have those things we got to deal with, but and while I don't think I could in any way, shape, or form um, sympathize, ringing in sympathy, I guess, identify with, being attractive and to the point, and having that sort of attention put upon me. That's not my particular problem, but I can empathize with it in terms of that's. I guess I just did, and it's just a real drag, that it's like what should have been, what should be a gift of nature, and that she could appreciate that, and I hope she does, to whatever she extent, but that it can also be a double-edged sword, be isolating. Um, I maybe had that with being an early high performer, intellectually, academically, um, which may have taken a left turn because I think I became well, a divergent thinker. Oh, gee, imagine that, the way I'm bouncing around. But uh, it's my buddy calling. I'm going to call him back. Actually, it's the one I gave the book to. Um, He lives a couple out 3 hours away. Uh, but I will talk to him in a moment. Wonderful friend. I've known him for I don't know, close to 50 years. Um, Probably nearly 47 years if I'm going to be accurate about it. um, and we talk weekly, sometimes daily. Last couple weeks been missing each other a little bit. Uh, anyway, but yeah, I did well academically at early on, and then I think I became a bit of a rebel or what have you. It's railing against the powers that be, and as a young firebrand will do. Um, so which I mean, it was an odd one because there wasn't a question that I was, my inclinations were there, but um, whether I was willing to work the program was another subject entirely. And, I mean, I think it's hindsight that, my uh, self-assuredness or whatever of youth. I mean, I don't mean all just within in that very narrow confine because I was not a very secure, happy kid. Um, but how always a rebel, or not even like a capital R rebel, just like outcast, misfit, ne'er do well. I'll go with ne'er do well. I was a ne'er do well. um, yeah. Eeyore. I identify with Eeyore quite a bit. Yeah. Anyway, so there's that. But yeah, so I'm interested in seeing that documentary. Uh, but I don't really have any programs that I want to see, or I don't have a pleasure reading book that I want to do right now. That's just kind of that consumptive media. That's we just call it when you're deadheading or brain deaded. Uh, we try to maintain our enrichments, like I was talking about, and the other activities, and we're doing well if it's like you get to a point when it's like, oh, I'm just too tired from doing and I need to do the brain shutdown thing. But we try to not make that a nightly thing. Uh, when I used to live in Colorado, I didn't have a TV. I didn't have any of that. Now that wasn't uncommon in that lifestyle to not have a television in Boulder at that time, and it was a great active lifestyle. I hope to bring that back more so. We do have screens, uh, but I've known plenty of people to not have televisions or watch a lot of television. Uh, I think that Richard Stallman doesn't have a television, but he admits it. It's like because I'm a television addict, um, is how he puts it. Yeah, so that's but I also get the occasional time just to have a nice program. I do sometimes watch great courses, lectures. Those can be pretty good. Uh, but that's not quite the deadhead pleasure read. That's I mean that's kind of academic coursework. Uh, which I try to keep stimulated intellectually that way. Sometimes I get worried that there is um, early onset dementia of some sort, and that's one of the concerns I have with the inflammation, uh, chronic inflammation, because I know enough neuroscientists to make me scared about that. Where uh, the ones that did the actual research that tie into this. So it's not just like I heard of a study once, but studying pro-inflammatory cytokines like IL-1B, interleukin-1 beta, uh, and I think IL-6, uh, where TNF alpha, I don't know about if it's pro-inflammatory, but I don't know if it affects it. But that it actually downregulates learning and memory, and so there is converging evidence that certain forms of dementia, like AIDS-related dementia, is because of chronic immune activation. But when you're sick, you really are stupid because of the pro-inflammatory cytokines. Um, on a pretty basic level, learning and memory, you can't consolidate memory, so you can't really learn as well. So I do get concerned with the chronic inflammation, uh, brain fog is uh, likely, so that's an imprecise term because people use just, for whatever, but at least, some types of brain fog are probably immune activation, pro-inflammatory cytokine modulation of the hippocampus and whatnot. Yeah, so I get a little worried about that, so I try to stay stimulated so I stay neuroplastic, and such is life. Well, I just wanted to check in if anybody has any recommendations on a program to watch. That'd be all right uh, to check out because I just got nothing, uh, which is okay. But have a great day, the rest of the day, which is not as much of a rest of the day as I would have hoped. Okay, bye.